Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hey, I'm here! Welcome back, everybody, to an all-new episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing, everybody? Oh, and wow, just as we start, J. Monty coming in, being a new fish here. Thank you so much, dude. Already, that seems to be a sign that people are going pretty well, and hopefully you had a nice weekend and a nice Monday as well, considering that I wasn't available to go and actually do the episode on Mondays like I regularly do. And to give you a little bit of context, if you don't know, I was actually out all day in order to do a small acting job. Nothing too big, nothing that is as major as the time when I appeared in Ghost earlier this year. This is just like a small acting job that's just for this private video instruction, like a private instruction video for a company. You know, it's like a little thing, but as an actor, you do what you can in order to get whatever opportunities that you can gather so that, you know, you could help boost out your resume and really go for there. You know, it's an actor's life, basically. However, instead of skipping this week, instead of just delaying it until we could go and do another episode next week on the regular time, I felt like I cannot let the materials I have here go to waste. There is a lot that we have to go and discuss, and a lot of things that I feel like would make quite an unforgettable episode. This is going to be a lot of fun and also going to be very interesting because, trust me, I have a lot that is on my mind regarding some of the subjects that we have here, and we shall be discussing about them in full. Now, before we go and actually get into those, I just want to go and take a moment to go and pay my respects to a couple of people that have unfortunately passed away very recently. And I know there's been a lot of significant deaths, but in this case here, what I'm talking about is Ken Page and Gavin Creel. Gavin Creel, as you may know, is a prominent Broadway star, a prominent theater actor as well, probably mostly known for playing the role of Elder Price, or the original Elder Price in the Book of Mormon. And as for Ken Page, a very prominent actor of both the stage and the screen that you may know as both the voice of Oogie Boogie in The Nightmare Before Christmas and King Gator, or as you may probably know as the big-lipped alligator in All Dogs Go to Heaven. You know, definitely great actors in their own right, and it's very unfortunate that they are unfortunately no longer with us, and very soon. Like, both of them have died at a pretty young age, especially Gavin Creel, so may they both rest in peace. Oh, and yeah, there is also, a few days ago, of course, there is Maggie Smith that has also passed away, and not to mention many others. Robert Watts, the producer of Star Wars and Indiana Jones, Chris Christopherson as well. Yeah, there's been quite a lot in the past few days that have unfortunately passed away. So there's sadly been plenty that are gone. So you can imagine that there's going to be quite a lot of memorable names for this year's In Memoriam. So yeah, for no matter who it is, may they all rest in peace. So with that said and done, I believe now it is time that we should actually get into the show, because again, there's plenty that I want to go and talk about here. So now I would like to go and ask the chat wall, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you ready now? All right, let's see now. Yes. Yes. Okay. I see people are prepared. All right. That is great to see. People are ready. People are set. And now, with all that said, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story that we have over here, we are going to be discussing about Pixar. Now, I know that in the last episode where I did talk about Pixar, it was very much shocking. In fact, it was a massive story that played a big role in making the last episode longer than the usual episodes that I would produce with AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, especially with what's been revealed in terms of the working conditions that's happening there, the fact that Pixar is still not unionized, the way the animators are treated and how they could be easily let go, what they endured during Inside Out 2, and many, many more. Like, it very much was a shocking revelation? Shocking revelation about what is actually happening in the studio. It's almost the same as what happened last year with what was revealed with the production of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and the productions that usually go on with Sony Pictures Animation and at Sony Pictures Imageworks. But even though there was that controversy, that won't stop people from being excited for what is to come with films like Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. And the same can be said with Pixar, that they still have a lot of very exciting stuff that's going to be coming soon, including with what's happening on Disney Plus, where they have not one, but 2 animated shows that will be appearing on the platform. So, with that said, let us go and begin with our first story, as we shall take a look at the little trailer for the upcoming Disney Plus series, Dream Productions and Win or Lose.
Unique New York, unique New York, unique New York. Okay, I'm ready.
More of the Pixar you love, only on Disney Plus.
Yes, that was both Dream Productions and...
Only on...
Hold on. Okay, thank you. Thank you, narrator. Yes, that was both Dream Productions from the world of Inside Out and Win or Lose. To which you may have noticed that there is a little bit of a change in terms of the release date. Because back during D23, they said that Win or Lose is going to be coming out at the end of this year. But now things have decided to go and change a little bit, where now Dream Productions is going to be released on December 11th, while Win or Lose is going to be delayed to February 19th of next year. And on top of that, we did get a little bit of extra info in terms of these shows that they have here, but primarily in regards to Dream Productions. Now, for both of these series, let me go and switch onto my source here on Animation Magazine, in which the Chief Creative Officer at Pixar, Pete Docter, actually stated right over here, "These 2 series really show Pixar creativity at its finest. We're excited fans won't have to wait long for more great content for the world of Inside Out. Dream Productions offers up a treasure trove of jokes and fun as it digs deeper into one of our favorite parts of the first film, the making of Riley's dreams. And we consider Win or Lose a major, first-of-its-kind tentpole series, one that really showcases what I think makes our studio great. Bold, imaginative storytelling, laugh-out-loud humor, and characters that we can all relate to." And on top of that, we even got a little bit of a description where they would go and describe a little bit of Win or Lose here, on top of mentioning how Will Forte is going to be playing the coach here. And it states, "Win or Lose reveals what it actually feels like being in the shoes of 8 different characters in the week leading up to the big game. The insecure kids, their helicopter parents, even a lovesick umpire, with incredibly funny, very emotional, and uniquely animated perspectives." So this is pretty much promising that with this anthology animated series, you would get to see the perspective of 8 different characters that present 8 different animation styles, and probably with their own sense of humor that they will be presenting. And this is going to be the kind, by the way, that they did mention that this is not going to be like what they would usually do in Netflix, and they would just really push out all the episodes in one big go. Apparently, they're just going to go one at a time, where it even says right over here, 8 episodes, each following a new character, start to roll out on Disney Plus beginning February 19th, 2025. So this might be a weekly thing that they will be releasing with one episode after another. As for Dream Productions, well, now we got a little bit more info on what's going to be going on over there, in which it says over here, Dream Productions is an all-new series about the studio inside Riley's mind where dreams really do come true, every night, on time, and on budget. Riley is growing up, and when her memories need some extra processing, joy and the rest of the core emotions send them to Dream Productions. Acclaimed director Paula Persimmon, who is going to be voiced by Paula Pell, faces a nightmare of her own, trying to create the next hit dream after being paired up with Zenny, who will be played by Richard Ayoade, a smug daydream director looking to step up into the big league of night dreams. And on top of that, we even got a confirmation on who's going to be among the cast, and all the core emotions from the second film are indeed going to be coming back, including Amy Poehler, who's coming back as Joy, Liza Lapira as Disgust, Tony Hale as Fear, Louis Black as Anger, and Phyllis Smith as Sadness. And as for Riley, well, apparently there's going to be several different voices. I'm guessing because of what's going to be happening in the dreams, where we got Maya Rudolph, Ali Mackey, and Kensington Talman, who's going to be voicing Riley in the series. And again, keep in mind, with Win or Lose, that's going to be coming out on February 19th, while the Inside Out series Dream Productions is going to be coming out on December 11th. Now, I am not gonna lie. When I first saw this trailer, I was pretty surprised that they would go and actually present both Dream Productions and Win or Lose, especially with the fact that this is just this 1 minute long trailer. And on top of that, even the way they advertised it, all they said was the fact that it's Dream Productions. Like, they're just advertising this as the Dream Productions trailer, not even mentioning about Win or Lose, purely focusing on Dream Productions. And one thing that I will criticize about this trailer is that I feel like, honestly, it should have stuck with one or the other to help us give a little bit more of an idea of what's going to be in store with these series right over here. In fact, I'll even say that when it comes to Win or Lose, I don't think we even have a full-on trailer to give us a good idea of what this series is going to be. I think even back when, on D23, like, we only got like something that's like less than a minute to show us of what Win or Lose is going to be. So even in this trailer, I don't think we got a bit of an idea of what this series is going to be. I am definitely curious, and the ideas that they are pitching so far, they definitely do sound very intriguing. I love the idea of this anthology series where we would go and look into these different kids in a little baseball league, and each of them having their own little story to tell with their own little animation style. That definitely sounds like it has the basis of a really fun show. And even some of the little ideas that they are presenting here, this looks like it could be Pixar's equivalent to something like The Amazing World of Gumball, if they really are going to lean in on the variety of different animation style for each episode and for each kid. Like, I could definitely see the potential, but I just want to see a little bit more of it in order to get a better idea of what it could possibly be. Now, when it comes to Dream Productions, on the other hand, I gotta say, just by watching the clips with what they present, with the concept of what it could be and stuff like that, honestly, I'm actually very excited. As you guys probably know, I love Inside Out 2. Like, the first Inside Out is one of my favorite Pixar films, and one of my favorite animated films. And the second Inside Out movie, well, I'm already considering that one of the best animated features this year, and even one of the best movies of this year so far. And with what they are showing with Dream Productions, that looks like something that's going to be a lot of fun, especially with how they're presenting it. What seems to be this mockumentary series where they would go into this studio and see the making of their little projects, the production of a little movie. So it's kind of like Pixar presenting us how movie magic is working, but in this time it's going to be with Dream Productions. Not only that, but even going a bit more deeper into some of the core concepts of what can happen in your mind. Basically emphasizing what are the goal of dreams. Like, you know, it's not just like an extended version of that little scene in the first Inside Out where you go into Dream Productions. Like this time, they're actually going to go into the realms of how dreams function in our mind, how they show that whenever there are some memories that need a little more time to process or to understand, then they send it to Dream Productions to literally give the person a clear picture of what they could actually mean. So already there is that intriguing concept that really does help expand the world of Inside Out, not just in terms of its world building, but even the goal of giving us a visual representation of the human psyche, of like what happens within your mind, and give us this fun animated representation of what can go on, and using dreams as a great example. And not to mention that this is going to be another of one of Pixar's short series, which honestly I've grown more and more and more to be a fan of. Whenever Disney Animation or when Pixar would go and make one of their short series for Disney Plus, they always make it a fun time. Honestly, I really enjoy my time. It's like, honestly, like I would just be curious to check them out, but then I come out like really enjoying them. Like, for example, with Disney Animation, like I really enjoyed what they did with stuff like Zootopia Plus or with Baymax. And even with Pixar, like, for example, Doug Days was honestly very wholesome and very cute. And even Cars on the Road. I mean, keep in mind, I'm not much of a big fan of the Cars movies, but honestly, Cars on the Road would honestly be one of, if not the most enjoyable thing of the Cars franchise. It was definitely fun, or at the very least, like maybe, I don't know if I would say the most fun, because like, if we do count like literally everything from the Cars franchise, I mean, Radiator Springs at Disney California Adventure is like really up there. But I will say in terms of the animated stuff, Cars on the Road is definitely fantastic. And then of course, yes, there is the bonus when the big finale of Blue Sky Studios, Ice Age Scrat Tales. That one was honestly a lot of fun. That was actually great. And honestly, I would even say one of the best things from the Ice Age franchise. Like, I would even put it up there alongside the first Ice Age movie. So whenever, and I know nowadays, it looks like it's going to be less likely that we're going to be getting more of those, but whenever Disney does make those little short series for Disney Plus, they honestly, they really turn out great, and I love that they really put as much energy onto those as they would with the movies that they would go and produce. And with Dream Productions, it looks like it's going to be another addition to those. So in my opinion, I would say that yeah, in terms of the Blue Sky discussion, yeah, it is true, technically, if you don't really count Nimona. I know that's like another thing altogether. But the point that I'm making here is that, honestly, from this trailer that we have just seen right over here, I would definitely say I am more excited for Dream Productions than I am with Win or Lose. But then again, I'm sure later in the future, maybe by the end of this year or at the start of next year, Disney will be releasing a trailer so that we can have a lot more of a good idea of what Win or Lose is going to be. But not to say that I'm not excited for Win or Lose. I'm definitely curious, but I would love to know more about what's going to be in store with that one. But in terms of Dream Productions, that one I feel like, yeah, I feel like I'm probably sold on this one. I'm definitely excited for that. So once again, if you are excited for both of these shows on Disney Plus, then keep in mind Dream Productions is going to be coming out on December 11th, while Win or Lose will be released on February 19th of next year. And with that said, now I would like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what did you all think about the little trailer that we have seen for both Dream Productions and Win or Lose? Did you guys really enjoy the trailer? Is there one that you're more excited over the other? Let me know what you think. And also, actually, you know what? I'm going to go and see if I can go and create a little poll here. So I can go and ask you, what could be a good question that I could ask? Let's see here. I don't know if I want to do like a comparison between both inside Dream Productions and Win or Lose. But let's see. Actually, you know, let me just go and ask. Which series are... hold on a sec. Are you the most excited to watch? So I'll go and write Dream Productions, and then I'll write Win or Lose. But then there is also the option of both. So let's see how that is going to go. Yes, it's going to be more than just a little yes or no thing. So anyways, let's see what the chat wall has to say. So far, both of these shows have a lot of potential. With Dream Productions, I could see how it could work with this office-style series showing how dreams work in our minds. As for Win or Lose, I like the idea of following these different characters, and I'm looking forward to seeing the different animation styles used. So overall, I'm looking forward to both of these series as a nice appetizer for some of Pixar's upcoming movies, like Elio and Toy Story 5. Don't forget also there is Hoppers in between that. So, keep in mind that it's going to be a little while until we get the next, Pixar sequel, and, that we will see more of Pixar's originality, which is great, honestly. Now, rather if they're going to come out great or they don't, I mean, that's going to be determined when they will be coming out. But still, though, I mean, the fact that they're still making original content is still great. Anyways, Dream Production already has a golden concept with unlimited potential. Win or Lose looks like it could go either way, but I think it's probably a good idea to let the series unfold one episode at a time each week, so to encourage audiences to be invested in a way other than being slaves to binging routines. In any case, though, the thing I'm most focusing on in hoping that Pixar gets unionized soon, and that no future production ever go through another scenario like Inside Out 2 or Elio. Honestly, the dude put out the best answer. That's probably the thing that we should be the most excited for. It's not whatever projects that are coming out, it's when the animators are going to get unionized. That's definitely a great answer. You know, I gotta, hold on a sec. Actually, I do have a button for that. I gotta applaud for that run right there. That's definitely a great answer. Great answer. I feel like I'm on frickin' Family Feud right now. All right, anyways, let's see here. While the release swap is a little weird, both of these look very intriguing. Dream Productions has a lot of promise, like the office-style direction, but Win or Lose is the real standout. I love the unique art styles that come with the different points of views, and the characters sound really interesting. I'm definitely going to watch both of these, but with the Dream Production series have a scene with Fear riffing on the dreams, oh... Yo, that is actually a good idea. That's, you know, honestly, that was one of my favorite moments in the first Inside Out film, where we just see Fear just like criticizing and making fun of it. It's like, honestly, it feels like the most relatable thing I have seen as a critic in an animated feature. Just see like Fear just watching the dream, calling out the cliches and like the tiresome tropes of it. Like even one of my favorite lines in Inside Out 2, in the first Inside Out, is actually, boo! Pick a plot line! Oh, that is so great. But anyways, by the way, according to the poll right over here, it looks like most of you have actually said both. While 27% of you said that you're more excited for Dream Productions, and only 9% of you only said win or lose, 64% actually said that you guys are excited for both, or the voters have said that they are excited for both. All right, very interesting, very intriguing right over here. Anyways, back on to some of the comments here. I am so excited for Win or Lose and Dream Productions, mostly for the latter. Imagine if the Dream crew would do parodies of real-life movies and things going wrong during production. It could also be the Pixar version of The Office, The Muppet Show, and Birdman. Have you seen Birdman? If so, do you recommend it? Birdman. Do you mean like Harvey Birdman, attorney at law, or do you mean the movie Birdman with Michael Keaton? Just want to have that clarity before I can properly answer that question. Let's see. Oh, the Michael Keaton movie. Okay, well, honestly, yeah, absolutely. Very fascinating feature. Been a long time since I've seen it, but honestly, I should give it a rewatch, but I remember really liking it when I did see it, so definitely recommend doing so. Anyways, tell you otherwise, I do feel the sense of anticipation for both Pixar productions. Granted, at the same time, I feel a little conflicted to think of how the production went upon this, since this got delayed again. Like, that can't be good. But leaving the negative, I too love Pixar works. They never seem to disappoint when they release something out of Disney+. So far, I'm more anticipated for Dream Productions, but who's to say Win or Lose couldn't be a greater show? Either way, I'll be happy with them. All right, great. Actually, I think I'll have one more comment to go and read. Just one more, and yeah, okay, let's go over here. I'm excited for both Pixar shows. I've seen bits of Dream Productions at D23 back in September, or I think you meant August. But I'm very interested about the idea of taking place in that movie studio in Riley's mind. The major downside is now I have to wait a bit longer for Win or Lose, but hey, it's important that they do take their time finishing those episodes. Hell, I already seen the first 2 episodes, and just to finish watching it because it was that good. Overall, check them out, people. All right, so just want to remind you all one more time that with Dream Productions and Win or Lose, they're both going to be coming out, with Dream Productions being released on December 11th, and Win or Lose is going to be coming out next year on February 19th. All right, so we are now going to go on to our first break, and when we do come back, I will be talking about not what's going to be ahead, but what's happening now, especially with one little robot that unexpectedly became a pretty decent hit at the box office. So stay tuned for that, and we are going to go and check out what's been happening this weekend. All right, we are back. Now, when it comes to the next story that I have here, we're going to be looking upon the latest animated feature that has been released, The Wild Robot. And that movie already has made quite an impact now that it has come out, and now people got to see for themselves what critics has been saying, because it's been getting a very unnatural amount of praise. We're talking about the kind of praise where it's almost 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, with many critics giving it ratings that range from either 8 out of 10 all the way up to like a 10 out of 10 or 5 stars or what have you. Like, already people giving it so much love, even more so than any other animated feature that came out this year, including Inside Out 2. And with that high amount of praise, I guess it really got many people curious. So much so that it definitely broke a lot of anticipation that analysts had for the box office. Yes, if we do take a look at the result of the box office during this weekend, specifically September 27th to September 29th, The Wild Robot was able to be on top at number 1 at the box office, earning a grand total of $35.8 million. And that really exceeded what people would expect from The Wild Robot, considering that a lot of those box office analysts thought that, well, maybe it's going to be somewhere on the lower end, give or take like 20 million or something like that. Especially when they saw last week with Transformers 1 that it started off with only $25 million. And I'll get to that one a little bit later. But apparently, people went above and beyond and actually gave it a stronger opening weekend than Transformers 1 right over here. And if we do look right now into the total of what the Wild Robot has, right now, its box office total, and just want to make sure, and by the way, I am using my source here on Box Office Mojo in order to read the box office results. But right now, the Wild Robot has a total where it has $35.8 million domestically, $18.2 million internationally, with a current worldwide global of $54 million. While at the same time, it's also worth noting on some of the other movies, including Transformers 1, where on a second weekend really went down compared to its first weekend, where now it has only made $9.1 million on its second weekend. And then you have the other very much talked about movie, Megalopolis. But let's just say it's not for the same reasons as The Wild Robot. Yes, this movie was very much talked about. This is Francis Ford Coppola's passion project that he wanted to do for decades, even spending $120 million of his own money in order to bring this to life. And how did it start it off? Well, the critics seem to be absolutely confused about it, and it only opened in 6th place with just $4 million. And this is even worse than the Bollywood movie that also came out during this weekend, Devara Part 1, which made an estimated total of $5.6 million in 4th place. And it's pretty much bad to the point that it can't even beat out Speak No Evil, which is on its 3rd weekend, in which that film has made $4,250,000 at the box office. So yeah, and I know, like, I've already seen in the chat wall, like, I've seen many of you, you've just been flooding the wall with many comments, and especially the one thing to go and describe it, everybody is saying it, yes, it is a megaflopolis. And let me just say, also, actually, let me go back here. Like, just take a moment to breathe this in. Like, this is an extremely rare moment that once upon a time, you would never think that this would ever exist. That an animated feature turns out to be better than a Francis Ford Coppola movie in every way imaginable. And not just that, but 2 animated features turn out to be better than a Francis Ford Coppola movie. Like, in every way, both critically, financially, and in terms of what audiences have been saying. Like, so, like, just 2 of them. Like, that really shows the power of animation. Like, even stronger than how Francis Ford Coppola is right now. So, that's honestly really crazy. And I'm just going to be very honest with you all. I was actually doubtful in terms of the Wild Robot and how it would do at the box office. Like, honestly, like, I was impressed with what they've shown in the trailers and stuff like that, but I did have a bit of my doubts, especially when you do see the trailers, like, with all the talking animals with the celebrity voices. Like, yeah, that seems to be like, I don't know, man, it seems pretty generic right there. I don't know if I would be down with it, especially when the humor can be a bit with what they are showing. But then, and of course, I'll say right now, yes, I will be reviewing the movie, and that review is going to be coming out later this week. But when I went to go and see the movie for myself, that's when I walked out and I was like, oh, okay. Now I see what they're talking about. Now I understand what those words from the critics actually mean now. So, yeah, safe to say that I also very much like The Wild Robot, and yes, I do consider it to be one of the best animated features of this year. Now, would I say it is the best movie from DreamWorks Animation, like what some critics are saying? Well, I'll leave to what I will say in my review. I'm not going to go and spoil everything in terms of my thoughts, but I will say that yes, I really did like it. But still, though, even with that, I was honestly a bit doubtful in terms of how it would do at the box office, especially with the fact that it is an original animated feature and that it is pretty much surrounded by all these big name franchises where you would have Transformers 1, which I will go and talk a little bit about that later, but I thought that that would be a major factor in how it would do at the box office, especially with the fact that that too also got great praise from critics. Maybe not as much as The Wild Robot, but still, like the word has been going around that it is a very good Transformers movie. And then you would have the week afterwards where it's going to be Joker Folie à Deux, and that movie is definitely going to be taking the attention away from all the other features that are currently in theaters, including The Wild Robot. So I was a little bit skeptical on how it was going to do, or if it's going to do well at the box office. But as it turns out, the power of word of mouth is definitely strong. And it looks like with how it came out, yeah, it certainly paid off well. And it really shows how an original animated feature could actually survive in this current cinematic era of franchises. You know, like we're pretty much in an age where franchises are really the big thing that people are going out of their way in order to go and fully produce. But in this case here, with The Wild Robot, it shows that if the movie itself can really stand on its own, then it can actually be successful as much as a big name franchise movie. And I'm not going to go and try to exaggerate like how successful it is. I mean, like, I'm not saying that The Wild Robot is pretty much on par with Inside Out 2 in terms of how it is doing at the box office and stuff like that. But still, though, it's still got legs of its own that it is able to go and stand pretty well. And they even say, I heard word that apparently with how it did, it is the third most, the third biggest opening ever for an animated feature released in the month of September. And in that regards, like, it is still very well. It's more like all the circumstances that it has. You know, the fact that it is an original animated feature, it is surrounded by these big name franchises, the current era of cinema right now, and especially how nowadays we have seen that when it comes to original animated features, it's becoming harder and harder for them to actually become successful at the box office, that it would even gain any form of attention. And we have seen last year where the biggest box office bombs have been original movies, unfortunately, such as Wish and Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, again, from DreamWorks Animation. But with The Wild Robot, on the other hand, it shows the importance of word of mouth, and that, yes, getting the critical praise and getting the love from audiences, like, that can be a very significant factor for a movie's success, and not to mention to have that kind of success in the long run as well. And with how things are standing right now with The Wild Robot, it seems to be in a pretty good position where not only does it have a pretty strong start, but there is a strong possibility that we will see in the future that in the following weeks to come, that when it will descend, it's just going to go on a small downhill slope. You know, it's going to be kind of like what we saw last year with Elemental, and I'll even add in Migration, where the positive word of mouth actually did help out in order to go and have its reduction just be small as the weeks would go on in order to slowly but surely accumulate its money at the box office. And I can imagine with The Wild Robot, it's going to be the same case, especially with the fact that technically, it won't have any other competition for quite a long time. I mean, technically, in the next few weeks, there is going to be the Pharrell Williams Lego movie Piece by Piece. But then again, it's hard to imagine if that movie is going to reach the same levels as The Wild Robot, or if it does have power of its own to really take attention away from The Wild Robot. I feel like the next real competition that The Wild Robot would have wouldn't be coming out until several months when Moana 2 is going to be released. Like, when we're talking about like a major animated movie from a big name studio, the next one technically would be Moana 2. And well, some people are already mentioning right here, like, oh, well, technically, there is Wicked coming out and Gladiator 2. Guys, I mean in terms of animated family films, Wicked and Gladiator 2 are not animated family films here. I mean, technically they could count as competition per se, but I mean specifically like the direct ones right over here. But yeah, so like from there, like The Wild Robot seems to be the one animated feature that really does stand out that I can imagine, like, it's like, not only it did have a very strong start at the end of September, but I think it's going to go very well all across the month of October. So that's going to do pretty fine. But there is also another thing that I do want to go and comment. And like, I will go and explain that one major reason why I personally feel like I previously underestimated The Wild Robot is mainly because of how I overestimated Transformers 1. And as great as it is to see The Wild Robot actually having a strong start, it is a bit disappointing to see that Transformers 1 is pretty much already being pushed on the wayside. That it doesn't look like audiences seem to hold, to really like be attached to Transformers 1 as much as they currently are right now with The Wild Robot. And as you can see, like a big part of why I say this is actually because of the difference between its opening weekend and how it is doing right now. Like, it was already bad enough that with Transformers 1, the start of it was said to be pretty underwhelming because it didn't do enough to go and surpass Beetlejuice on its third weekend. But now, coming to over here, like, it just went down by almost 63%. Like, on its opening weekend, it did about 25 million, and now it went all the way down to 9.1 million, which I personally feel like it's quite an ouch right over there. Yeah, like, I see, like, in the chat wall, some people have even said right over here, like, ouch, yeah. Like, it's a bit of a yikes right over here. And, and it's honestly a bit disappointing, especially with the fact of how the movie came out and it's, like, surprisingly really good. Like you guys probably saw my review. I really enjoyed Transformers 1, and even though I'm not someone who's, like, really into the Transformers franchise and stuff like that, I very much enjoyed it. And again, I do actually consider that to be one of the best animated features this year. And so far, I'd even say is my favorite thing that I have seen from Transformers, or like the best thing that I personally seen from Transformers. Even to the point, like, some people would even go as far and say that, like, those who have seen all the Transformers movies, some of them even say that Transformers 1 is the best Transformers movie that we have. But unfortunately, with what is going on with the box office, it looks like it's going to be pretty overshadowed quickly. Like, in terms of the battle between Transformers 1 and The Wild Robot, it looks like the DreamWorks movie is going to have the leg up. It's got, it's got stronger praise from critics. It's it's this new original animated feature that is like a major must watch. And the fact that The Wild Robot made it to #1 at the domestic box office, but Transformers didn't. That's going to be a significant factor where it might not last long at the box office, or it might not last long in theaters in general, and there is a likelihood in which the film might turn out to be a flop, unfortunately. Now, there is going to be that very rare possibility that later on, maybe word of mouth could also save Transformers 1 and that people could go and also watch it. Kind of like do a little bit of a Barbenheimer thing that I've seen some people on social media. They've been trying to do a bit of the Barbenheimer thing with both The Wild Robot and Transformers 1, where they recommend that you go and check out both of them. There is that rare possibility that maybe it could get that second chance and might find its way to become profitable again. But at this rate right now, it's not very promising. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, but it's it's very much, you know what I mean? So overall, I just want to go and quickly express my thoughts specifically on the two animated features. I mean, I could also go on and discuss about what's been happening with Megalopolis, but I think with the result right over here, I think it speaks for itself. But so far with The Wild Robot, it's already off to a strong start. And again, I don't think it's going to be making Inside Out 2 numbers, or I don't think it's going to be like one of the most successful animated features this year, but it's already in a very strong position where it's going to do well in its own right. That at the very least, it will turn a little bit of a profit for Universal and for DreamWorks right over here. So just want to go out and say congratulations to the team at DreamWorks Animation for what you have done with The Wild Robot, not only making a great movie for itself, but also that it already exceeded expectations and is already in the right track to become a hit at the box office. All right, so with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what did you all think of the box office results of The Wild Robot and even some of the other movies as well, such as Megalopolis and Transformers 1? I would love to know what you think. And also, just might as well go and ask this question. Might as well just go and write a poll on this. So, let's see here. I'm just going to go and ask, hold on a sec, do you think The Wild Robot will become a box office success? So, here, don't put too much S's, hold on a sec, just put down the typical yes and no, and then we shall begin the poll, and now let's go right over here. All right, I watched both The Wild Robot in IMAX, thankfully, and Megalopolis this past weekend, and I find the former to be fantastic, and this is one of DreamWorks' most mature films to date, while the latter being a confusing mess from the start, despite Coppola's long, passionate project. I'm happy to see the former doing well at the box office, and I do love the movie so much, but for Coppola's film, I think it's too polarizing, even to the point of becoming both a bomb, Coppola and Lionsgate especially. Yeah, considering that recently I did talk about how things are going pretty bad for Lionsgate, especially right now when they want to become a bit more dependent on AI technology in order to make their films. Yeah, I think it really stands that 2024 has not been kind to Lionsgate, both for reasons beyond its control and for its own stupid reasons. Let's see, what other comments do we have here? This is definitely a major win. I think The Wild Robot is one of DreamWorks' best movies they made, considering it's an original DreamWorks film. I'm shocked it did as good as it did. Although it is a little disappointing that Transformers 1 didn't do well, most likely because of the reputation of the Michael Bay movies. However, the failure of Megalopolis is the funniest part of all this, considering 2 animated films beat it, and it's yet another failure from Lionsgate this year. Exactly, if it's not bad enough that they already got the Borderlands movie and the Crow remake, now they could go and add Megalopolis to this. But then again, I will say that I don't know how damaging it will be for Lionsgate, considering that it is Francis Ford Coppola himself who invested most, if not all, of the $120 million of this movie. So in that regard, I don't know. Like, honestly, I'm not sure if Lionsgate would really be hit hard on this as much as like some of their other features. Anyways, dude, The Wild Robot is absolutely lovely. I love the movie so much, and I'm really happy that it did so well at the box office to the point that it beat Coppola's Megaflopolis. Anyways, positive word of mouth really proves how some films can be successful. I really felt sad that Transformers 1 is slowly underperforming. It'll be even released digitally in a couple of weeks, which is such a shame since it's an awesome movie too, and I hope we get another one. Really? A couple of weeks? Are you serious? Hold on, let me just double check. I just want to see for myself. Digital release. Because like, okay, so it's not that soon. Like, hold your horses there. It ain't gonna be a couple of weeks. I just saw right over here, apparently it says that the digital release date, it could be set for October 22nd. Okay, so it could be set. I see. Okay, so there's no official release date, but okay, but if it's like a couple of weeks, that's like a little bit shocking. Like, okay, October 22nd, that seems a little bit reasonable, so it's like over a month from its original release date. But it's not going to be like with Borderlands, where it got released and then a couple of weeks later, boom, suddenly it's out on digital. Okay, so at least that does make a little bit of sense right over here. And by the way, just want to mention the poll that I created. Apparently, it is pretty much unanimous. Everyone who has voted said yes, The Wild Robot is going to be a box office success. All right, pretty much good to know. Anyways, let's see what we got here. The Wild Robot is definitely one of the best DreamWorks movies in recent years, along with The Last Wish, or Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I never doubt any animated film directed by Chris Sanders. I think it's time to give Chris Sanders more credit for his biggest contribution to animation. Sadly, many Disney or DreamWorks fans still don't know who he is. Well, that changes now. Go see him if he's coming over to any event near you if you have the chance. He doesn't bite. He's like his alien counterpart. Yeah, honestly, I would be so down to see, let's see. I would honestly be down to actually check out Chris Sanders, or like if he ever comes like near me, or if there's an event with him, like I would love to meet the guy. Anyways, let's see what we got here. This is beyond well-deserved, since The Wild Robot is one of, if not the best DreamWorks movie in years. And while I do wish Transformers 1 would get more of that love, since that is also a banger, but it's pretty cool that it's gained a bit of momentum. Also, Megalopolis is also there. Yeah, I've already heard the Megaflopolis joke over and over again. Seriously, can we just make the joke make the joke Megastopolis? Oh my god. Okay, are we gonna have like a whole vocabulary of what we could do with the word Megalopolis right now? Alright, I think I'm gonna read 2 more comments and then we're gonna go and go to our next break. Let's see, what have I not read? Or maybe just one more, actually. Yeah, okay, never mind, 2 more. Let's see now. For once, I thought I'd be so happy to hear we were finally having another month's worth of great films. Not judging the other months that came and went, but after the Garfield and Hurts For Me to Say Sandy Cheeks movie, this hasn't been a great opening year for films, hasn't it? I add Transformers getting shafted is also sad, though. I thought it was going so well, but at least DreamWorks is at their game again. But what does it mean for Inside Out 2's box office? Has it surpassed it yet? What does it mean for it? Do you think Inside Out 2 is going to beat out the Wall Robot? Oh, funny man. Funny man. Anyways, let's see what we got here. I know that DreamWorks after this film will start outsourcing their animation to other studios, but if The Wild Robot continues to be a success at the box office, could that possibly lead to Universal and DreamWorks to possibly have second thoughts on that decision and have more in-house animation again? No, they will not care. And I mean, yeah, it is like, so far, The Wild Robot is a hit, but it's not going to be a hit to the point that it's going to change their mind where now they'll just go back to doing in-house. They've already made that deal with Sony Pictures Imageworks and they'll be sticking to it. Sorry, it's not going to go and change their minds again. So sadly, that's not going to happen. All right, so I think with that said and done, it is now time that we shall go on to our next break. And when we do come back, this is going to be the main discussion of this episode. The one thing I really want to go and talk about. And even though for this YouTuber, he really got a happy ending after his announcement that he has made, there is a lot more that needs to be discussed. Not necessarily about him, but on the current climate of what is happening on YouTube. So stay tuned for that. Hold on, let me just go and take care of this and... All right, welcome back. Now, when it comes to our next story, I feel like this is a subject that, for me, it's a little bit more personal because this is actually related to what I do as my job, which is YouTube, which is to make videos and upload them on platforms like YouTube. And I feel like this is a discussion that is far bigger than the main topic that we are about to get into. And even though the story that I'm going to get into, it is relatively short, it does highlight a massive problem that not only this guy faced, but many other YouTubers, or I would even debatably say that most YouTubers would actually face, and highlights a very significant problem in terms of having a business that relies on YouTube, or that you would need YouTube as part of your job. So with that said, let us go and discuss about what happened to PhantomStrider. Now, for those of you who don't know, PhantomStrider is a pretty popular YouTuber, or one of the more popular animation-related YouTubers, where his main thing is to create ranking videos that are related to cartoons, whether they be animated movies or TV shows and stuff like that. That was his main thing that he has created for several years, for about a decade even. And he's been holding on to himself very well in terms of his YouTube channel. In fact, as of this episode here, as you can see, he actually has a total of 736,000 subscribers, which puts him among the big leagues. Like, he's more closer to the people who have already surpassed 1 million subscribers, such as Saberspark, Shafrillas, Veilski Bum, and The Roundtable. So he's definitely among the bigger YouTubers that discuss about animation. But then he released this video right over here. About a week ago, he put up a video that says, ending PhantomStrider and why it's ending. So let's just go and actually watch this. So, like, we're not going to watch all of it, but just like about a minute of it or so to give you a little bit of an idea of what this is.
Howdy, so I've kept it to myself up until now, but I basically have to end the channel, as for the first time in 8 to 10 years, I can no longer afford to keep making videos on PhantomStrider. I'll break this video up into why this is happening and what's going to happen to the channel next. The reason this is happening is, in the last few months, views have dropped so dramatically that I can no longer afford to pay the bills, rent, basic living expenses. Over the years, I've relied on ad revenue almost exclusively exclusively to survive. So as a result, in order to make sure I can pay the bills, I'm gonna have to leave YouTube and go back into full-time work. If you're curious, my current plans are to do either electrician work or plumbing work, if someone will hire me anyway. Now, there's a very, very unlikely chance, a cosmic anomaly perhaps, that enough people will become $2 to $5 patrons to essentially save my channel, and they will be my new bosses. I've put the Patreon link in the description, but don't get me wrong, that would be a dream come true as I love this job. But
all right, so like we're not gonna go and watch all of it, of course, but this is to give you an example and to summarize what he said in this video in particular. Is the fact that he announced that he was about to go and end his channel, mainly because in recent years, especially nowadays, the viewership that he has been getting has been decreasing more and more, down to the point that it's becoming harder and harder and even impossible for him to survive off of the revenue that he would make by making these YouTube videos alone, that he is incapable of just paying the bills, paying for groceries, and all that kind of stuff. And he was pretty much at the point where he considered to go and work either as an electrician or as a plumber while letting go of his YouTube channel. He wouldn't go and actually delete it outright, but he would just no longer be making any new videos on the platform. But he also stated that if the rare opportunity would go and occur, that if maybe his fans would go and support him on his Patreon, then he could actually go and actually continue making videos. Now, with that said and done, though, after he released the video, it was pretty shocking, and it pretty much exploded all across the animation community. So much so that his fans definitely took action, and safe to say that the cosmic anomaly that he said, well, it actually did occur. I'm right over here on his Patreon account, just to go and, or his Patreon page specifically. And as you could see here, it's safe to say that his YouTube career actually did get saved. Like, originally he just wanted to ask for $2,000 a month. Like, if his Patreon total can be $2,000 a month, then he could continue working on these YouTube videos. This can continue to be his job, and that he could continue making these, you know, he could go and actually make these videos right over here. And as of this episode here, right now his Patreon page has a total of 935 paid members, in which he is making right now a total of $5,873 a month, or at least in Canadian dollars. Actually, let me just go and do some calculations here. I'm gonna go and transfer that into American dollars to give you more of an idea. I mean, of course it's in Canadian because, well, this computer is in Canada. So let me just go and try to convert that. So in American money, PhantomStrider is now making a total of $4,352 a month, which is incredible. And I'm not gonna lie, I would even say I'm a little bit jealous of Josh right over here. I wish my Patreon is making that amount of money. Holy crap, that is beautiful. That is an admirable amount of money to make on Patreon. And of course, he even shows right over here what he's going to be making in terms of his next videos now that he is able to go and work on YouTube again, in which it says here that the next video he's going to be making now is going to be the worst to best classic SpongeBob episodes. Then after that, he will be making the worst to best modern cartoons, which is going to be an updated video from one of his previous ones. Then after that is going to be the worst modern animated movies. And right now, if his Patreon page makes over $5,000 or US dollars a month, then he will go and make the biggest animated box office failures. So, safe to say that there is a happy ending for Josh. You know, the PhantomStrider channel is not dead, and that now he can continue making videos, especially thanks to the help of his fans and for his Patreon. But the thing is that with all this going on, yeah, some people are even writing down Mad Jelly. Yeah, of course I'm jelly. I want a Patreon page that makes about like $5,000 a month. You know, I want to make these numbers here. You know, like, yeah, of course I'm jelly, man. But honestly, for real though, I am happy for Josh that, you know, his fans really stepped up to go and save his, to go and save his channel and to save his YouTube career in general. But the reason why I want to go and bring this up, it's not necessarily because of PhantomStrider. This is not necessarily about him per se, but I feel like there is a discussion here that needs to be brought up, that more people should really be talking about, and that is how hard it is nowadays to maintain a job as a YouTuber. And honestly, the situation that PhantomStrider faced is really frightening. Again, keep in mind, PhantomStrider is one of the bigger animation-related YouTube channels. He's one, like, again, he is much closer to the number of followers of people like Saberspark and Shafrillas more so than people like me. And even at that, even with all the followers that he has, even with the videos that he would be making, he doesn't have enough in order to go and make a living. He was at the point that he was ready to give up on his channel and to go and move on in order to work as, again, either an electrician or a plumber in order to survive, in order to pay the bills, in order to have food on the table, in order to have a roof over his head. Like, to maintain a YouTube job is very much unsustainable at this point. And it's kind of frightening to see. And I'll even say that when I did watch this video, which, by the way, I forgot to add that also, ever since his channel was saved, he did unlisted. Like, he didn't necessarily delete the video entirely. He just decided to just unlisted where people aren't going to find it and then, like, share it around like crazy. But then again, the thing is, when I saw this video and I saw, like, when I saw Josh's situation, his plea to go and ask people to go to his Patreon to, like, if his fans could go and save his channel and stuff like that, it honestly had me thinking, and I realized that in my situation that, yeah, I'm a little bit on the same boat as Josh. I did not have a good 2024, to be very honest. Like, yeah, so far, like, I would say in terms of the viewership that I get or the growth that I've been having, it's like, it's been average. It's been, like, kind of the, like, what I would usually get. But I never had moments where I would suddenly get some boosts, or I would get moments where my videos would somehow find itself to actually be viral. It's been a pretty weak year in terms of the YouTube business that I have so far. And, like, I am proud of the videos that I've been making. It's just that it's it's just in terms of viewership, in terms of the business, it has not been going well. In fact, there has only been one video that I can think of that actually did end up getting popular, or at least popular to the point that it ended up getting 6 digits in terms of views. And the only one that it did get that this year is my review of the Sandy Cheeks movie, and that is it. And I mean, technically there was one short that I did put out, which was a clip from my Despicable Me 4 review where I was praising Maxime Lamal, and that actually went pretty viral. It got, like, so far it's got like 500,000 views on that one, but it didn't really do much to actually help out my channel or to really go and give it a boost. Other than that, though, it's honestly been pretty disappointing, and it feels like it's been harder and harder to find a video that can, like, break those expectations of, like, what I would do on average and do, like, better than, like, most of the others. In fact, like, even if, like, and it doesn't matter, like, the amount of work that I would put into it, rather it be a simple review or something that is very complex, there have been times where, honestly, I was disappointed by the results. In fact, I was actually disappointed very recently. You guys probably saw my latest video of the history of Playmobil the movie. That was something that I've spent weeks working on, trying to ensure that I get all the information correct, to go and craft it all together. It took me quite a while, and I'm still very proud of it. It's still, like, I still consider it one of my best videos that I put out this year. But in terms of the result that it got, it honestly was very disappointing. It honestly really sucks. As I'm recording this, it has yet to even cross 10,000 views, which honestly is below average to what I would regularly get. Like, normally during the weekend, if it crosses 10,000, then honestly, that's a good sign that the video did okay by my own standards. But the fact that it has yet to even reach that level, it's honestly disappointing, where I feel like the output that would come out did not match up to the results that I was hoping to go and get. So this is just to go and summarize that, yeah, same with me, man. Like, just like with Josh, in terms of viewership, in terms of business, in terms of getting notice and pleasing the algorithm and stuff like that, it's just been very tough. And a big part of that is because the biggest thing when it comes to maintaining a YouTube business is that there is a very delicate balance to it. It's all about this important, like, if you want to have a good YouTube business, then you have to find the importance of what makes three different groups happy. You got to make sure you find a way to make yourself happy, to make your fans happy, and to make the algorithm happy. And you cannot lean in more towards one more so than the others, because then otherwise it's going to go completely off balance and it's going to screw over your business and it will screw you over. Like, if you go too much into making yourself happy, then you're pretty much rejecting your fans and you're rejecting the algorithm, and your videos will just go nowhere. But if you're going to lean in too much to make your fans happy, then you're not going to be happy yourself, because you're not really doing the things that you really want to do. And again, the algorithm is not going to be happy with you, because you're just pleasing the group that you have right now. And you don't want to lean in too much in terms of what the algorithm wants, because then at that point, you're just going to be labeled as a grifter, nothing else. So really, it's just hard to figure out what is that balance to make sure that, like, you could get into that right center so that you can have a very strong YouTube business, that you could create great content that you like, that your fans like, and that it is able to pull a great amount of followers and views. But here's the biggest problem with that, though. The algorithm is very unpredictable. YouTube is infamously quiet when it comes to how the business works. They are the least transparent company that you could possibly imagine, and they never tell you what the algorithm wants specifically. So in that regards, it would just like it ultimately becomes this massive guessing game to try to understand what is it that the algorithm wants. Maybe you have an idea of what you want to do and what your fans may want, but you never know what the algorithm is going to want to have, especially with the fact that it often changes, down to the point where whenever the algorithm resets and finds a new thing to go and actually be more appeasing and like to share to its to followers and stuff like that, then you have to go and completely reset the process. And again, that's why it is nothing more but a massive guessing game to try to understand what is it that the algorithm wants, and why it makes it so difficult to try to maintain your YouTube channel as a legitimate business. And I can tell you right now, most, if not all people, do not have the proper answer in terms of what makes your business grow. No one will ever know. Even if they did have the answer, or even if they got very lucky and found themselves getting a very significant boost, then at that point, like right now, they wouldn't answer to you how to go and actually make a good YouTube business like they have. You know, it's honestly ridiculous. The unpredictable, with the unpredictable nature that YouTube may have. And at that point, as you're trying to figure that out, it often becomes very frustrating to try to know what is it specifically that the algorithm may want. And when you see that your channel is not necessarily doing well, then that's pretty much at the point where you're just going to be second guessing yourself, and YouTube is not going to give you the answer as to why your videos are not doing as well as what they used to do, or they're not doing well in general. So it leaves you guessing specifically as to why is it that it's not working out. You know, you don't know why is it, you don't know what is the recipe of why your channel is not performing strongly, or what can you do to save your channel or anything like that. In fact, even Josh here tried to figure that out himself, and even came up with his own little theories. So just to go right over here, just to share that little piece.
Used to cut corners in videos, I will not deliver you a shoddy video. But writing, editing, and filming all night has been affecting my mental health pretty badly at this point. But since views have dropped so much, I never get to stop. I never get to slow down. Revenue is getting slimmer every month, every day at this point, and frankly, I'm just scared. As to why viewers have suddenly packed up and gone, based on my years here, I have a theory, but I'm trying not to speculate too much as I'm already really good at attacking and nitpicking my own work. So I try to always give a variety of different topics to you in videos and put my heart into every one, and I hope that comes through. All I can do is my best, but unfortunately, my best just isn't good enough for YouTube anymore. It was enough in 2014 YouTube, but it's not enough in 2024 YouTube. The change I've noticed is, I used to be able to make a video and people would generally click on it because they think, hey, PhantomStrider released a video and I'm curious to see what he's talking about. It wasn't required that what I was talking about was an incredibly clicky or controversial topic. Viewers clicked because they just wanted to hear my opinion on a variety of different topics. But in 2024, that's not the case on my channel anyway. Whatever.
So, to go and summarize, he has his own theories, and even mentioned that even though he would do his best is not necessarily good enough, which honestly it is some pretty harsh words, but there have been a lot of YouTubers that can relate. Now, is that the actual reason why his channel hasn't been doing strong in 2024? Honestly, we don't know. That, nobody really knows. And, even when I look upon myself, trust me, I know exactly the same feeling that Josh had, because I would have my episodes where I would feel like him, where I would look upon my channel where I don't see it doing strongly or really gaining momentum or anything like that. And I would just keep second guessing myself. And because of the lack of answers as to why is it that my videos aren't pulling the same numbers as some of the bigger YouTubers out there that talk about animation, why I'm not pulling the same numbers as Saberspark or Cartoonshi or any of the other animation related YouTubers, often I would I'm not gonna lie. There are times when I could be hard on myself, where I would even say the same words as Josh and say maybe my best is not good enough. Or I would even question myself, and I would even question my reputation. Is it because people don't like me anymore? Am I a hated YouTuber because of some of my opinions? Is it because I'm known as the guy who likes Wish? Am I still only recognized as the guy who hates Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? And there are all these questions that I don't know, and I would make my own theories and assumptions. And I know some of the things that I would go and suggest, I know they sound absolutely silly, but that's the thing with what this is what YouTube does to you sometimes. When things don't go well, they don't answer those questions for you, and your brain tries to go and fill in those answers to try to make sense on what is going on. You know, like they would try to go and try to, you know, they'll try to go and like put in those answers, and they will unfortunately go into those self-deprecating suggestions from there. So honestly, I don't like, so with that said, even though Strider may have a theory on it, like he doesn't fully know what it is. Nobody fully knows what it is. And nobody can really answer why is it that my channel, despite the fact that I've been doing this for about 15 years now, that it hasn't become as big as some of the other YouTubers out there. It really is this massive mystery that it just feels very frustrating with how YouTube is maintaining is business right there. And then, and not to mention, when it comes to the monetization, when it comes to trying to make money on YouTube, like that is honestly a whole different subject right there. And honestly, that is also another factor on why it's hard in terms of maintaining YouTube as a business, or why is it that it is hard to go and like actually make some money on YouTube. And a big reason is because of YouTube itself. It doesn't necessarily give us much options in terms of how we can go and monetize our videos. And that's why we have to go and resort to doing things that many fans really don't like. Like especially when it comes to ads. Like, I'll say this right now. I understand that you guys hate ads, or at least some of you hate ads. I completely get it. And I'm not saying that you should go and take away your ad blocks or anything like that, because I understand. Like, the thing is that with ads, you know, with advertisements, they can be cringe. They can be absolutely annoying, down to the point that you just want to get rid of them altogether. I completely understand that. But we are left in the position where we have no choice but to use ads, because the way that we want to monetize our videos is very limited. And we have to go and resort to doing things like putting in mid-roll ads, which, yes, I am guilty of doing so. But I'm not doing it because I love putting in ads on my videos. It's because, you know, I don't have much of a choice. If I want this to be my job, then I have to put in ads onto my videos. It's, you know, it's unfortunate, it's ridiculous, but, you know, we don't have much else of a choice. Again, like, the only other ones that I could think of is that, well, there's always YouTube Premium that people could go and subscribe to, but then again, it doesn't really do much for us creators. And then there's also channel memberships that YouTube tries to do, but that's basically like a bootleg version of Patreon. And again, that is why you would see many YouTubers where they would go and have Patreons and especially sponsorships. Excuse me. Oof, it's just the gas in me wants to go and get out. But anyways, and also it brings up another major thing. You would be surprised how many YouTubers out there depend on other forms of revenue instead of just YouTubers. I would even say that most YouTubers, their main source of income is actually not YouTube. And I think it is safe to say that Josh here is definitely one of the examples. Like, with him making around like, you know, making almost 6,000 Canadian dollars, or around 45,000 US dollars on Patreon, this is going to be his main source of revenue, not YouTube at all. And even other YouTubers have mentioned that, you know, their main source is not YouTube at all. Like, if you go down into the comments section, Saberspark right over here, he actually stated that his main source is not actually YouTube, but rather it's sponsorships. He even said here, have you considered video sponsors? That's mainly how I pay myself and my team. I feel like most viewers understand that grind, though it's not every creator's cup of tea. So that, and again, I understand that not everybody is a fan of either, you know, you're not fans of ads or sponsorships or anything like that. But the thing is that we need those. You know, the thing is that if we want to keep making these videos, if we want this to be a part of our business, we have to do so, because the money we get from YouTube is not really as much as you may think. Now, I'm going to go on, speaking of ads, by the way, sorry for me to do this, but we're going to go onto a quick break here. And when we do come back, I'm going to go and put in my final thoughts on this entire situation. And then I will be asking you all of, I'm going to go and ask you, what do you all think about this entire situation? So let me just go and put up this quick break, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so now that we're back, I want to go and put in my final thoughts on this entire situation. So overall, when it comes to this entire scenario of what happened to PhantomStrider, I am honestly very happy that Josh's YouTube channel is saved thanks to the generosity of his fans, and now has a very successful Patreon account. However, I feel like it really does highlight the reality that there should be more discussions about how hard is it to maintain a job on YouTube, or to keep your YouTube channel in a healthy position in order to continuously make it grow, in order to make sure that the views are still coming in strong and that you could still have a good amount of revenue in order to go and make a living. Like nowadays, it feels like it's becoming harder and harder and harder to do so. And a big part of it is the way that YouTube is managing it in a way that doesn't feel friendly to creators, that it doesn't feel like we're in a position where we feel safe in terms of making content on YouTube, and that we have to depend on many other different sources in order to actually get a lot of that money, rather it be through Patreon or through sponsorships or through merchandising and all that, all those different kinds of things. It really does highlight the difficulty of the YouTube business, that we have to do several other things. And that one of the major things for you guys, that if there is a major takeaway for the fans, for you people watching and listening to this, the biggest thing is that if you really want to support your favorite creators, you got to do more than just subscribing them on YouTube. It's really not enough to just go and like their videos and subscribe to them, because it's relatively minor for what they need for their business. I mean, yeah, it's good, but you have to unfortunately do a lot more. Where if they have a Patreon, then you have to go and support them through there. If they would have merchandise, then consider buying some, or whatever sponsorships that they would do, then go and actually check it out. Because if you help them with, if you help them out by engaging with their sponsorships, then it will actually help both the people that they are sponsoring and the creators themselves in order to have better deals and to go and continue with the collaborations that they would do with those sponsorships. So you have to go and keep making more and more, you have to go and take those extra steps to ensure that if you love those people, then you want to put in the effort to ensure that they keep making those videos that you enjoy watching again and again. And I would even say for people like me, I know it's crazy that I only got almost 160,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I'll say this right now, I am very fortunate with all the fans and the followers that I have had throughout the years. And honestly, I'm forever grateful for that. Yeah, sure. I'm only a fraction compared to the numbers of what PhantomStrider or SaberSpark or Shafrillas or anything like that. The fact that you guys would go and help me out and actually turn this into my own little business of me talking about my passions of watching animated films and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, there is a part of it that really does feel like a beautiful dream come true. So in that regard, I just want to give you all a big thanks. But also at the same time, if you guys haven't yet, keep in mind that I also have my own Patreon, that if you guys want to go and support me, then, yeah, I have my YouTube channels, of course, with Electric Dragon 505 and my AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast and stuff like that. But also I do have my Patreon. I mean, I would love to also have that continue to grow as well. Like, if I'm lucky, then maybe like I could grow onto the levels of what Josh has right now. But yeah, like, and I'll even say for myself, by the way, just to go and add that, when it comes to the revenue that I would make, it actually happens more often than not that I make more money off of Patreon more so than I would onto YouTube. But still though, if you go and support on my Patreon, like, and it doesn't have to be a big pledge, even if it's just $2 a month or $5 a month, it would still be a tremendous help for my own channel. So, in that regards, like that, it would also help me out greatly on that. So I feel like overall with what's been happening with PhantomStrider, again, this is a big discussion that we need to keep this discussion going. Like, not just with me, with this podcast and all that stuff, but like, it should also continue like with other YouTubers, with other, on social media as well. It should be highlighted that there is a massive problem going on with YouTube and that the platform itself is not really doing much to help sustain the businesses that are on their platforms. And keep in mind, the problem has not been solved. It is up to Patreon to go and save the PhantomStrider YouTube channel, not YouTube itself. So yeah, I pretty much wanted to go and really express all of my thoughts on that. So in that regards, now I want to go onto the chat wall, and now I would like to ask you all, what did you all think about the whole PhantomStrider situation? What are your opinions about the whole case, and how do you feel about, when it comes to how YouTube is going on right now in terms of like handling businesses, or what it feels like to maintain YouTube as a job? Let me know what you all think. Let's see now. I know PhantomStrider. I've seen some videos of him at the time, including having the Nostalgia Critic as a guest appearance. I had no idea he was struggling with his YouTube business to the point of stop making videos. While I'm glad he was saved thanks to Patreon, it's scary to see him almost lose his platform. YouTube has become worse, like adding more ads, which even SaberSpark calls them out for this situation, and I don't want to see them lose their platform because of this overall. Exactly, man. Yeah, and I have heard that that SaberSpark did call out many of the problems that YouTube has. And I think, honestly, that would actually be a big help. Like, if Saber can go and actually address many of these issues, like, yeah, it's one thing for me on my little platform here, on my little podcast to go and discuss this, but if we could have, like, a lot of the bigger YouTubers to discuss about those problems, like, it could actually help to go and address these issues, like, for YouTube themselves to actually notice this. Let's see now. It's nice to see that PhantomStrider. It's nice to see that PhantomStrider. I have that. Oh, it's nice to see that PhantomStrider. Okay, I was trying to understand a little bit of what that means. But anyways, I have enjoyed your videos for a few years now. I think you do a great job on them. Be thankful you almost have your voice acting career in addition to making YouTube videos. Maybe when you make your next animation history video, it could boost your viewership. Remember the quote from Meet the Robinsons and Walt Disney, "Keep moving forward." Exactly. I mean, like, for now, like, again, it really is just a guessing game. And I mean, who knows? Maybe my next viral video will be coming very soon. But, like, for now, it's just, like, I'll have to keep making it to, like, the only way that I can really find out when is my videos going to become popular again will be later on as I keep making them and see which one will really pop off. I do relate to Josh right here. I know how difficult it is to make revenue on YouTube. I'm currently doing this as a part-time job while studying filmmaking full-time. Thankfully, like Josh, I do get a decent amount on Patreon. In fact, my first Patreon paycheck has arrived. So I'm glad to hear that he's getting so much help on Patreon. If he can make it, so can I. I do love his channel so much. First watched him since 2015 and still watch his stuff, especially his food videos. Nice. All right. I'll say like Strider's works, and easy for me to say, I'm glad he's doing well for himself now, and it's nice his fans saved his work, but I do understand what it's like to face upon an algorithm not for videos, but for making art. Often I post on social media and I barely get any views on them, sometimes even nothing, but take in my grandma's words, don't let that get into your head. If love what you do to impress yourself. Also, for me to you, your work is what gets me up in the morning, always. Oh, thank you so much, dude. Let's see, what other comments do we have here? This definitely is very interesting. I'm honestly glad that PhantomStrider got so much support from his fans. And honestly, it really does prove how maintaining a YouTube career can be hard because of the algorithm. It's the reason why Patreon can become useful to help you and still help you maintain your YouTube. It's the reason just feels like nowadays negativity sells, which is probably why your Sandy Cheeks movie review did so well, because of its negative review about SpongeBob. Oh, absolutely. Like, that's one of the biggest things that I have learned about YouTube, that negativity can sell way more than positivity. Like, you can make a video all you want about, like, the things that you love so much, but if you make a video that's, like, really crapping hard on, like, whatever movie is out, like, that's going to end up becoming more popular. In fact, like, you check out, like, on my YouTube channel, some of my most famous reviews are movies that I would heavily crap on, such as Norm in the North, for example. So yeah, like that's also another thing. It's like negativity sells, which I mean, like, it's kind of like a trade-off where it's like, yeah, you get, it's kind of like a deal with the devil. Like, you trade in toxicity in order to get a bit more revenue. Anyways, what other comments are there to read? Just want to check. I worry about the next generation of kids. I remember my older sister working as a teacher at a middle school, and a lot of kids' careers is to be a YouTuber or streamer. That's scary to me because those kids don't understand that most won't have a livable income. Artists want to make a living and thus have to do a lot of gigs. Exactly. It is, yeah, like, it is very hard. Like, there's a lot of I know there's a lot of kids, if not most kids out there, they really wish that they could become a YouTuber, but I can guarantee you the grand majority of them, they're not going to make it. In fact, most of them are going to be very lucky to even reach my level. Again, I am very thankful for the amount of followers that I have, and I'm very thankful that on YouTube that I even crossed 100,000 subscribers. That is very difficult to go and achieve, and nowadays it's becoming harder and harder to do so with how the algorithm is right now and its unpredictable nature. It's honestly at the point where it's just it's difficult, really. Let's see, any other I think I'll read one more comment and then we're gonna go on to our next break. All right. I saw PhantomStrider's video the day it was uploaded, and it was quite a shock. While PhantomStrider has never been among my favorite YouTubers, I never bore any ill will towards Josh or his content. It's a miracle that his Patreon got a boost, and I wish him nothing but the best going forward, especially with how nice everybody says he is. As for other YouTubers like you, Matt, you have my prayers in trying to adapt to this effed up platform. Yeah, exactly. So, with all that said, I mean, I'm glad that Josh is now doing very well, and honestly, hopefully we can find other solutions of what to do to get around this massive problem. So again, just a quick reminder, if you really want to go and support your favorite creators, then do more than just subscribing to their YouTube channel. Like, actually go, like, buy their merch, go support them on Patreon. Like, do what you can to ensure that what they, with what they do, they will keep on making in the future. All right, so with that said, that will be it for this story. So we're going to go on to our next break. And when we do come back, we will return into some animation news. And when it comes to this one in particular, well, it's relatively surprising to see what this studio is becoming. Now, like, we got little updates on some upcoming projects, but I'm more interested in talking about what the fridge is happening with the studio, and that they're not going to be making films exclusively to the studio that it is named after. So stay tuned for that. All right, welcome back. Now, when it comes to our next story, this is actually something that came out just recently. And honestly, there was a little bit of a story here that they would go and discuss about the main thing in terms of like, oh, what's going to be the update on these particular movies. But what caught my interest is really what's happening with the studio itself. Which direction that they are, oh boy, excuse me, folks, which direction that they are going, and that, well, it looks like they may be doing a bit more than just making movies or making content or projects in general just for that studio. And what I'm talking about specifically is in regards to Sony Pictures Animation. Yes, now, the reason why I want to bring this up is specifically related to this article here from Collider, in which they had a bit of a chat with Genndy Tartakovsky, and even talking about some of the updates about what he is doing at Sony Pictures Animation. Because as you may know, there are a few things that he had been working there for quite some time. A bit of some non-Hotel Transylvania projects that he wanted to go and do. And we already know that there is that R-rated dog comedy fix that he has in the works, but then there's another one called Black Knight, which is something that would be a bit more akin to something like Samurai Jack than the comedies that he has done with Hotel Transylvania. And apparently, when Collider had a chat with him, it turns out that it might still be going on. It is stated right over here that when Collider Steve Weintraub had a chat with Genndy at the SCAD Animation Fest, I don't know if that's how you say it or if it's SCAD Animation Fest or something like that, but when he had a chat with him, Genndy Tartakovsky stated, reading from my source here on Collider, "So, Black Knight, we finished the script. It's really great. Same thing as Fixed. Pushing the envelope. And now we're just starting to take it out and see who wants to make it with Sony." And this is the part that really intrigued me. It's not really the fact that, oh, okay, you finished Black Knight. Okay, that's cool. That seems to still be going on. But I'm curious about the one thing he said here. We're just starting to take it out to see who wants to make it with Sony. You mean, not Sony? I mean, like, it's Sony Animation. Wouldn't you want to do it with Sony? Well, that may not necessarily be the case. In which it says here, although Tartakovsky and the rest of the group working on Black Knight are doing so alongside Sony Animation, he explains that they may not be the studio who will eventually put the money down to finance its creation and release it in cinemas. He told Collider, if they don't, maybe there's someone else. It's a brand new world out there. Everybody makes stuff for everyone else. That's what's interesting, because before, if Sony didn't want to make it, that's it. Then you're dead. Then maybe you get a turnaround and you start shopping to other studios. But now, we can make it to whoever. And there is one more thing to add, because there was also the question in regards to the rating of what this Black Knight movie could be. Because lately, Genndy Tartakovsky has been making more adult-oriented works, such as Primal, and also his latest series, Unicorn Warriors Eternal. So maybe just like with those, and alongside with Fix being R-rated, is Black Knight going to be something that will lean towards adults? And, well, maybe not. Well, we'll see. He stated here, I don't think it would be rated R. Maybe a PG-13 or something like that. Or maybe R, I don't know. It's right on the cusp. I could push it one way or another, but it's adult for sure. So this is the big thing that I really want to talk about. I mean, okay, it's good to hear that with Genndy Tartakovsky, he still has a good relationship with Sony, and that, productions like Fixed and Black Knight, surprisingly, they are still in the works there. They still want to go and create it. But the thing that really makes it interesting is that apparently, even though it would be made at Sony Animation, it wouldn't necessarily be a Sony movie per se, where he would go, so essentially, it would be like Sony Animation would be the studio that would go and create Black Knight, but in terms of the main company that would go and finance it and release it, it may not necessarily be with Sony. It could be someone else like Paramount, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Universal, or something like that. There is that possibility. And the funny thing is that we did already see this recently, or at least what was the original plan of it with Fix. Because keep in mind, there was a moment that when Fix was being produced, it was originally for Warner Brothers, specifically under New Line Cinemas, that they were the ones who went to go and finance the Fix movie, even though it was being done at Sony Pictures Animation. Now, it is no longer the case, unfortunately, considering that not too long ago, Warner Brothers did drop Fix, and now it is back in the hands of Sony, and the company right now, they're just looking for other studios to go and see who else wants to go and finish things up with Fix so that they could go and distribute it, because it doesn't look like Sony Pictures right now seems to be that interested to go and release Fix themselves. But it looks like with The Black Knight, that may be the same story. That right now, Genndy Tartakovsky has his, he has his script. He has a team ready to go and produce it with Sony Pictures Animation. And now they're going to see if there is another company out there that would want to go and produce it. Because if it's not going to be Sony Pictures who wants to make it, then it could be someone else. And that has me thinking, is this the new direction that Sony Pictures is currently taking right now? Is this what they're going to be doing with their animated movies? Like, is this something that is just exclusive to Genndy Tartakovsky, or are they also doing it with other people at Sony Pictures Animation? Because what's interesting here is that it looks like now Sony Animation is really going rogue, which very much is unorthodox to go and see. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing or anything like that, but it is something weird to see Sony Pictures taking that direction where they don't want to make movies for Sony Pictures. And the funny thing is that with how Sony Pictures Animation is right now, they're pretty much becoming more like many of the third-party visual effects studios out there. It's very much like with Sony Pictures Imageworks or even Industrial Lights and Magic, for example, where they would go and make movies for a variety of different companies. Like with Sony Pictures Imageworks, they've done visual effects works for many different big studios out there like Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, and so on and so forth, along with doing animation for companies such as Warner Brothers and for Netflix and even for DreamWorks Animation for the rest of their upcoming projects they have right now, like with Dogman and The Bad Guys 2 and Shrek 5 and so on and so forth. And even with, funny enough, with Industrial Lights and Magic, like they've done visual effects for a wide variety of the big name Hollywood studios. And even this year alone, they actually provided the animation for Ultraman Rising for Netflix and for Transformers 1 for Paramount. So when you see that happening, now with Sony Pictures Animation, it just feels a little bit strange, and it goes beyond the norms of what is an animation studio, especially with the fact that, like, now the name would be put into question. Because when you see an animation studio that is named after the main studio that, or like the parent company that it works for, you'd expect that they would just make movies for them. Like when you see Walt Disney Animation Studios, you're not going to see them make movies for Universal or for Warner Brothers. They only make movies for Disney. Or Paramount Animation, for example. You're not going to see them make movies for Lionsgate or for Disney. Paramount Animation is just going to make movies for Paramount. And so on and so forth. So you would think with Sony Pictures Animation, they would just make movies for Sony. But the truth is, no. Now, they're actually going to go a little bit beyond that, and now they're starting to make movies for other studios as well. And we're even starting to see that right now. And in fact, I would even say next year, that's when we're going to see it go full bloom of it. They already have a movie, actually, in which they would go and have it be created by not created, but is financed by a different studio altogether. Like Sony what I'm talking about is the Demon Hunter movie. Like that Demon Hunter movie, yes, it is made at Sony Animation, but it is financed and is going to be distributed by Netflix. In fact, there's actually going to be a whole bunch of Sony Animation projects that are going to be done at Netflix, and they don't necessarily have to have an association with Sony Pictures. Yes, there's going to be that Hotel Transylvania series. Yes, there's going to be that Ghostbusters series, but then there's going to be some other stuff, like I mentioned with the K-pop Demon Hunter movie, that's going to be like a bit more of a Netflix thing. It's just that the element of Sony Animation, that's more like a bit of a coincidence. Now, maybe some people could go and argue, oh, but what about like some of the other Sony Animation movies released on Netflix? You know, like Mitchell's vs. the Machines, or Vivo, or Wish Dragon, or even Hotel Transylvania Transformania that was released on Amazon Prime. Well, that's a bit debatable. Honestly, that's a bit, I don't know if those would count, because those are like special exceptions right there, mainly because of the fact that, it was the pandemic, and, they didn't really have much of a choice. So like Sony already funded, Sony already made these movies. They just needed to find a different distributor. So with that said, though, with everything that's been going on, it is interesting to see this new direction that Sony Pictures is taking, and that they are opening up to the idea that they would go and produce other animated movies or animated projects for other companies. It's not just like the regular Netflix deal that they would make, but now they want to go and make deals with Warner Brothers and potentially other studios as well, to go and, at the very least, to make the projects of Genndy Tartakovsky with what he wants to do with stuff like Fixed and with Black Knight. Now, the big question, though, is that it makes me curious. Like, maybe I'm just thinking a little bit too far ahead, but it kind of makes me wonder about the future of Sony Pictures Animation. Like, are we going to, like, does this mean that maybe we're going to see the day that maybe Sony Animation and Sony Pictures might actually split, where Sony Animation will go through a massive rebrand and they'll become their own independent studio and work for whoever? Like, maybe they'll make movies for Warner Brothers, for Disney, for Universal, or what have you. Honestly, I don't know. Like, it seems a bit, it seems a little bit far-fetched. But for now, it's just interesting to see that direction. And I mean, it is a good thing to see how Sony Pictures is not necessarily giving up. I feel like they kind of, like, in a way, Sony Animation does owe Genndy Tartakovsky, considering that they made him do, like, literally nothing but Hotel Transylvania films throughout most of his time at Sony Animation. Like, from the first movie all the way down to the last one with Transformania, like, Genndy Tartakovsky's career with Sony has been just that so far. So at least it is nice to see that they are opening up, so that they are giving Genndy Tartakovsky a chance to go and actually make more stuff and have those projects be released, even if Sony Pictures themselves would not want to work on, even if Sony Pictures themselves does not want to go and distribute them. And I see some people say, like, oh, he didn't work on Transformania. He was the writer of that movie. Keep in mind, he was involved in that project. Yeah, sure, he wasn't the director of it, but he was the writer, and he did get involved with Transformania. So just want to go and clarify on that. So yeah, overall though, it's honestly interesting to see where Sony Pictures is going, because it's like kind of this weird direction that honestly, it's like where it's like they're going way off road, but in a way they still seem to know what they're doing. It's like they're not necessarily in danger or anything like that. They're just going in a direction that, like, nobody would expect, but it's kind of like intriguing to see where they're going. I mean, it's like, I'm kind of like in a position, it's like, okay, let them cook and see where this is going. I want to know, like, how this is going to reflect upon Sony Pictures in general. So yeah, I just wanted to go and share my thoughts onto that because I feel like it is very interesting to see what Sony Pictures is up to. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what did you all think about Sony Animation's new direction and what they are planning to do with both Fix and Black Knight in terms of Genndy Tartakovsky's projects? Are you guys interested to see what's in store? Do you think Sony Pictures might go into a different direction? Let me know what you all think on this, because I know this is a bit unusual, but we'll see how it goes. But anyways, well, let's see here. This Black Knight project is something I could get interested on. Well, I don't like Hotel Transylvania. I do like the shows he did on Cartoon Network. Hopefully Fix will be on Sony's part to be better than Strays. We know, but yeah, I definitely, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, yeah. Safe to say, people do know I am not a fan of Hotel Transylvania whatsoever. But, you know, I am, you know, I still really like the works of Genndy Tartakovsky. Like, I love Primal, for example. So, I mean, if there is an opportunity that Genndy Tartakovsky can prove that he could do much more with movies than just Hotel Transylvania, then I am open to see what he, you know, what he has. Let's see now. I am curious about Sony Pictures would handle making animated films and have them be distributed by other companies. Not sure if Sony might spin off Sony Animation just like DreamWorks spin off DreamWorks Animation. I am curious about how Genndy Tartakovsky are doing with their new movies. Also, did you hear about a massive change at Sony Pictures where it will change CEOs with Tony Vinquera leaving on January 2025? Yeah, I did actually hear about that, and that seems to be intriguing. Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen in 2025 under the next leadership that's going to be coming up, but honestly, with those kinds of things, I can imagine that it's going to cause a massive shakeup at the studio. Maybe things will be better for Sony, maybe things are going to be worse, maybe Sony will become a completely different company under the new CEO, but we're going to have to wait and see next year. Anyways, let's see what else we got here. This is definitely an interesting move. I'm happy that these projects from Genndy Tartakovsky are still happening, but it's definitely interesting to see we'll have animated films from Sony be distributed by someone else, and it definitely makes their future very interesting. Although, if it were Sony and Genndy, it would stay far away from Warner Brothers considering their bad treatment towards animation. Well, I don't think, in terms of Genndy Tartakovsky, oh, excuse me. I don't think he's able to do that. He did I remember he did sign this multi-year contract with Warner Brothers, and he is still going to be making some shows for Adult Swim and maybe even Cartoon Network. So, yeah, I don't know, like, maybe Sony can stay away from Warner Brothers, but I don't think Genndy can because he is under contract. Anyways, this is interesting and curious to see some Sony Animation films to maybe be distributed by someone else instead of Sony Pictures. If that's true, given that K-Pop Demon Hunter will be distributed by Netflix and that Fix and Black Knight will be distributed by someone else. I know the animation company will stay with Sony Pictures like Spider-Verse and GOAT, but this is interesting to see. Exactly. And it's not just that, but even like, as we mentioned, with that new CEO that's going to be in charge, we'll see how the future of Sony Animation is going to be. Or if, like, I know the studio itself will most likely be fine in the future, but will it still be called Sony Pictures Animation? I mean, who knows? Like, if you're not going to be providing the animation for Sony Pictures or exclusively to Sony Pictures, then can you actually be called Sony Pictures Animation? Anyways, let's see what we got here. I think Fix and Black Knight are to be shipped to other studios because of the mature themes of those films. They could not sell well at the box office. While I am okay with Sony Animation releasing their films on streaming services, especially during the pandemic, and I do hope that the studio will continue to be released on their films on the big screen, let's be grateful that Fix and Black Knight are not going to end up as tax write-offs like Warner Bros. Discovery seems to do a lot recently. Yeah, honestly, I feel like that could be the easiest guess. Like, the safest bet in terms of the future of those films that Genndy Tartakovsky has it's highly likely that they're not going to be on the big screen, and instead they're going to come out on they're going to be coming out on streaming. So most likely probably on Amazon or on Netflix, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Let's see, any other comment? I'll go with one more here. Let's see here. It's kind of interesting that Sony Pictures Animation, it's making films that is not of their own, and instead to share it on other studios. Instead, it'd be kind of interesting to see if the next Spider-Verse movie will be not distributed by Sony itself, but it will be distributed by Disney instead of other films that was going on to do with other studios. We'll just have to wait and see. Exactly. Mainly, I just wanted to go and point out what is going on right over here, and that honestly we'll probably have to keep an eye on what's happening with Sony Pictures, because they're going to be going into some unexpected directions. All right, so we're going to go on to one more break, and when we do come back, we'll have one more story to look into, and we are going to be checking out what is possibly the biggest crossover of the year, so stay tuned for that. And now, everyone, it is time that we shall go and cap this episode off with the grand finale. And for this finale, it's kind of a coincidence, considering that in the last episode, we did end off with a Muppet-related story with the whole controversy of the way that Jim Henson was portrayed in the upcoming Saturday night movie. So I figured that with this episode, let's also cap this off with another Muppet-related story. But this time around, we're going to be ending this off on a much lighter note. Something that is definitely more pleasant to go and discuss about compared to what has happened with the whole PhantomStrider situation. And what I'm discussing about is with this little 90-second video.
Well, yuck. Never traveled through a Fraggle cave like that before.
You don't say.
Wow, this place is amazing.
It really is.
Well, hey, you want to go explore outer space with me?
Gee, I'd love to, but, this is kind of a special day. Yeah, for me, it's a time when I think about creativity. Yeah, it's everywhere, Imagination, innovation, vegetation.
Oh, radish?
No, thanks.
Oh.
It's just a really...
special day?
It sure is.
Yeah.
Yuck! Enough with all the mushy stuff, Frog!
Well, that's the silliest creature I've ever seen.
Silly? Who are you calling silly? Look, would you two beat it? You're ruining a perfectly rotten day.
Come on. There's a pond with good flies over this way.
Oh, well, I'll hold the flies, but I'm always up for a swim, eh?
There. That's better.
And that was a very special video that is meant to... Whoops, excuse me. Trying to place my headphones and didn't go as well as I thought. Sorry about that. But yes, this is a special little video that is shared around social media to commemorate the birthday of Jim Henson. And nothing too extravagant, except for the fact that we see Kermit the Frog, Gobo Fraggle, and Oscar the Grouch all coming in together to reflect upon September 24th being the birthday of their creator, Jim Henson. Now, there is a very good chance you've seen this being shared around, especially with the way that it is very wholesome and it is meant to commemorate a very beloved icon like Jim Henson. But if you know a Muppet fan, then you know that they absolutely freaked out over this video, especially with the fact that we saw this unbelievable crossover. Now, at first, you wouldn't necessarily think much of it, because, like, looking into here, it's like, okay, so you see it's, you see Kermit, you see Oscar the Grouch, and you see Gobo Fraggle. These are all Jim Henson, they're, here, just to give you a better look at it, these are all Jim Henson's creations. But if you know some of the history of the Muppets, then this is a very significant deal. This is very, for Muppet fans, this is very shocking, because this is the kind of crossover that you would never think it would ever happen again. Like, number one, just on the factor that these three alone came together is already, like, kind of shocking to see. Like, the fact that you got Kermit the Frog from the Muppets, Gobo Fraggle from Fraggle Rock, and Oscar the Grouch from Sesame Street. Like, the thing, like, the reason why, like, it's so shocking to see these three together is because this only happened one time in the past. Like, the only time that we ever saw those three entities coming together was back in 1987 with A Muppet Family Christmas, which featured characters from the Muppets, and then featured characters from Sesame Street, and featured characters from Fraggle Rock, all coming together to celebrate Christmas, where the Muppets were hanging out at I believe it was at Fozzie's mom's home. It's honestly been a little while since I've seen the special, but it started with the Muppets, and then suddenly we also saw that there was the Sesame Street characters that they joined in the fun, and then Kermit and Robin, they would go, they went down a hole, and then they would see that they met up with the Fraggles and brought them up over, and everybody was pretty much singing Christmas songs all together. It's a beautiful special, very heartwarming, and if you're a Muppet fan, it definitely is a must-watch during the holiday season. Especially, like, if you love Muppets Christmas Carol, you will also love A Muppets Family Christmas. But the point is that was the only time ever do you get to see those three coming together. And and you never actually see that actually occur afterwards, like, not before it, and especially not after it, after Jim Henson passed away. So seeing those three suddenly together, like, it's really a massive shock for Muppet fans everywhere. And then there's also the second factor that makes it so shocking, is how the fact that all of these three now belong to three different companies. That, yeah, you got Fraggle Rock that belongs to the Jim Henson Company, but then you got Sesame Street, that's always been its own thing, where they belong to Sesame Workshop, but then you got the Muppets and Kermit the Frog that belongs to Disney. And it's with Disney especially, and we all know how stingy they can be when it comes to copyright, and how overprotective they can be with their own properties, that you would think that they would never go and do something like this ever again, that they would never be willing to go and do this kind of crossover. But I think at this point, when it comes to the Muppets, I think people might overestimate when it comes to how protective they can be with the Muppets, and they kind of forget that they can be very openly collaborative with the Jim Henson Company, that they could be pretty cool with them to go and collaborate with whatever Muppet projects may be. In fact, like, still working alongside with Brian Henson to ensure that they can maintain the legacy to be as respectable, and to be to maintain it as strong as it could possibly be. Like, I know, like, in the past, like, they haven't done that for sure, but nowadays they have gotten a little bit better, where even Frank Oz admitted that now things are getting better with how the Muppets are currently being handled by Disney. Like, things have certainly been improving. Even with Brian Henson, even though he runs the Jim Henson Company, there was at one point he did go back just a little bit at Disney, where he went, he returned to the Muppets, where he played Sal for Muppets Haunted Mansion. And not to mention that technically there was one time that Kermit himself did actually make an appearance on Sesame Street, where it was back in 2019, where Kermit actually did make an appearance on Sesame Street's big 50th anniversary special. So in terms of that, like, yeah, like, I know, like, it's a big debate, and the way that Disney has been handling the Muppets, it's not that admirable, and there's a lot to go and criticize, even, like, I would criticize a lot of things that Disney would do in terms of handling the Muppets and stuff like that, which is why we still have these rumors about Muppet Vision 3D possibly being closed down in favor of the new Monsters, Inc. area at Disney's Hollywood Studios. But nowadays, you know, it seems like things have gotten a lot better. And this is not even to mention with this year, with how they released Jim Henson Idea Man. You know, there is definitely that. And, by the way, just want to go and quickly add, because I just noticed one of my collaborators on Animation Look Back the Muppets, Ryan Walterson, he did add some extra info just to go and add in here. There's been characters together at the wedding scene in Muppets Take Manhattan and various specials in the 80s, but this was the first big collab in decades. Yes, that is true. There was also Muppets Take Manhattan. That is also a major collaboration. Well, technically I believe that was even before Muppets Family Christmas, where we saw the Muppets, Fraggle Rock, with with Sprocket and with Uncle Traveling Matt and Sesame Street, where they all come together. That is definitely true. Then there's also Sesame brought the Muppet characters themselves in 2000. Up until that point, Henson owned full ownership and marketing of those characters. Not to mention, Earth to Ned was a Henson production made specifically for Disney. That is actually true. So, that is actually an interesting point that he did bring up. But the point is that when it comes to the Jim Henson Company and Disney, they are absolutely cool. You know, like, they are definitely some strong buddies. And if they want to go and make some different Muppet-related projects, that is, at least with that, they're able, they can actually go and make that happen. And, I just had a flash also just recently. I think there was, another collaboration, but I just immediately forgot about it. Oh yeah, there is also another thing, and that is in terms of the rights that Sesame Workshop actually has. Because even though that the Muppets are fully owned by Disney and Kermit the Frog is completely owned by Disney, Sesame Workshop does have some rights to actually use Kermit. If they want to go and present clips of Kermit the Frog, like archive footage of Kermit in Sesame Street during those old episodes, they are fully allowed to do so. They do have the rights to go and do that. So that is an example of how all those entities are able to go and come together. Now, from there, a lot of Muppet fans, they would see this and they would go and raise some questions about, what does this possibly mean? And if we are going to see more of these. And some people think maybe this is just a little one-off thing to just go and commemorate Jim Henson's birthday and stuff like that. But you know what? I feel like I'm a little bit more optimistic, and I have a little bit of a theory of what is going on here. Because this crossover that we have, I think this might be a test. I feel like this could be a little bit of an experiment to go and see how people would react if we do put in people like Kermit, Gobo Fraggle, and Oscar the Grouch. If we have the Muppets, Fraggle Rock, and Sesame Street come together. Try to do that little test, see how people would react, and then in the future, that could be an indicator that maybe they'll go and actually create something bigger. And funny enough, with Ryan here, we actually talked a little bit about what that could possibly be. And one idea that he brought up is that maybe there could be something that they could do, because very soon it's going to be the 55th anniversary of Sesame Street, and maybe they'll try to go and plan something special for that. But my theory is actually something that could be a little bit bigger. And keep in mind that next year, it's going to be the 70th anniversary of the Muppets. Like on social media, the Muppets social media accounts, they're already doing this massive campaign where each week they're highlighting a variety of different Muppets, like whether it be the popular ones like Miss Piggy, Kermit and Fozzie, or even recently they've done a lot of the obscure ones, like they would do Wayne and Wanda, or they would do one of the Kuzbanian aliens, or they would do Pops, for example. They would go and do stuff like that. They're making a big campaign and trying to make a big deal out of the 70th anniversary of the Muppets. And the 70th anniversary specifically is to go and highlight technically what is the 70th anniversary of the start of Jim Henson's career and the big debut of his first show, Sam and Friends. So from there, I am thinking that maybe whoever's in charge, whether it be Disney or Sesame Workshop or the Jim Henson Company, they might have some big plans to go and commemorate the 70th anniversary. And they want to do this little test here to see if maybe they could try to do this again, but on a bigger scale. They might go and do something much larger where we will see something that, again, could be in the scale of what we saw in either Muppets Take Manhattan or A Muppets Family Christmas, where we see the whole gang of the Muppets and Fraggle Rock and Sesame Street coming together again to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Muppets. But that is my theory. I could totally be wrong. But honestly, it is very interesting. I think we could, I am curious to see what could be in store. But overall, though, I just want to have a moment to actually talk about this. This is absolutely such, not only would I consider this to be possibly the biggest crossover of the year, but honestly, one of the most wholesome, possibly the most wholesome thing that we have seen this year. Yes, I'll even say this is even more wholesome than The Wild Robot. Very cute video, and honestly, whenever the Muppets have something new, I'm definitely on board to check it out, and really happy with what they have created here. Honestly, this feels like it definitely captured the spirit of Jim Henson and, the creative philosophies that he has. So with that said, now I would like to go into the chat wall, and I'd like to ask, what do you all think about that little video celebrating the birthday of Jim Henson? Did you guys enjoy it? And also, do you think this could lead up to a possible bigger crossover in the future with all the different Muppet properties? Let me know what you think here. All right, now let's see. Honestly, being a content creator has been quite a struggle for me nowadays. In fact, after 2024, I'm planning to go on hiatus from making any more videos on YouTube, including reviews and animated films. But in light of this piece of information, I'm thinking about moving from that in order to become a full-time artist while focusing on my financial goals of maintaining a living with my parents. If this is subject related, I hope this makes sense to you. No, honestly, I completely understand. I mean, yeah, you probably want to bring this up during the the whole discussion about YouTube and PhantomStrider and stuff like that. But no, honestly, I do understand where you're coming from. Honestly, focus, it is important to go and focus on what is most important. Yeah, it's important to have dreams, but it's also important to be realistic in terms of your goals. And honestly, I do wish you the best of luck on becoming an artist and to meet those financial goals that that you're aiming for. Let's see now. I gotta say, this is a really nice and sweet video. In fact, the fact that we have seen these characters from different projects come together to celebrate Jim Henson's birthday is so wholesome. And it does make me hope we will see more of this in the future. Create a new special that would feature these characters and show how Disney is capable of doing more with the Muppets. Yeah, that definitely is a major highlight. That is something that we definitely, that's something Disney needs in general. Do more with the Muppets. People clearly love the Muppets, and they're already on a good track. They're already getting better and better with the works that they've done, with Muppets Haunted Mansion and Muppets Mayhem as well. They just need to keep going at it, and then we could actually see another comeback of the Muppets that they definitely need. Let's see. This is an unexpected Muppet crossover that I did not expect. It is cool to see them together since the Christmas special years ago, and if they're planning on doing more crossovers like this, then it could be a dream come true for all Muppet fans. Glad to appear in this episode on my day from work, and happy early birthday, Matt. Oh yeah, that is definitely true. Yeah, that is definitely going to be coming up in the next few days, actually. So thank you so much. Ryan himself actually has a comment here. There have been a few concerts and live shows that had all three properties together in the 2010s. There was Jim Henson's Musical World at Carnegie Hall in 2010, ceremony appearances at the Museum of Moving Images, and the last big one was the Jim Henson Retro Spectacle event in New Zealand in 2018. Yeah, that is technically true, but then again, we need something for everyone to see. Not like not like those shows that you have to pay a ticket and actually be there. You know, like we want to see like on a much bigger scale, on a much bigger platform, like not just on YouTube, but maybe even on Disney Plus or even on TV. Let's see what else we have here. The fact that we have three different characters... did I? Oh, no, I didn't read this. The fact that we have three different characters from three separate Jim Henson properties, each one being owned by a separate corporation, that does indeed make it almost inconceivable that Kermit, Oscar, and Fraggle would come together. So this is indeed a blessing and lovely tribute to Jim Henson. Much better than what Saturday Night has been doing to him, reportedly. And if it really is a test to audiences' reactions, let's hope that it does lead to something for a special occasion. Absolutely. Let's see now. I think I'll read two more and then, I'll read two more and then we'll cap this off. Or three, actually. I have time. This crossover is the most heartwarming one I've seen in history. This is the perfect occasion to celebrate the life of Jim Henson and acknowledge of how much of a positive impact he made on us when we saw his projects as kids. Looks like we found it. The Rainbow Connection. The lovers, the dreamers, and us. Ah, very cute, dude. The last time a Fraggle Rock, Muppet Show, and Sesame Street crossover happened was with the Muppets celebrating Jim Henson in 1990 after he died. It is so nice and heartwarming this video was made. Maybe this could be a one-time thing, but I hope that more crossovers would continue to be made in the future. Also, the Ron Howard documentary Jim Henson Idea Man won the Emmy for Outstanding Documentary or Nonfiction Special. I actually heard that it won several Emmy Awards, actually. Like, it was a big winner at the Emmys. And I mean, it's not a perfect documentary, speaking as someone who has made a Muppets documentary myself, but it is still a very good one and definitely a must-watch. I will say it was a pretty cute short. While I first witnessed it, I knew it was going to be viral, but I didn't think it was that huge of a deal when dealing with each of the company's copyrights. In fact, it could be an idea if they try to put Jim Henson characters in a Who Framed Roger Rabbit style-like movie, or simply a short special if it's more practical. But overall, they came together again. Gee, it's great to be together again. Also, happy birthday, Jim, and early one to you, Matt. Thank you so much. And with that said, that should do it for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Wow, okay, I'll admit that this turned out to be quite a bigger episode than I thought, but still, hey, we made it over here and we had a great time. So I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and if you want to go and have more of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, then don't forget to go and subscribe to the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel or the AniMat Live Twitch channel so that you can actually see it live and maybe interact in the chat wall. And also, well, considering what we recently talked about, don't forget, if you enjoy what I do and you want to go and support my work and get some amazing rewards, including but not limited to seeing my videos before anyone else, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. And if you are listening to me to whatever podcast service you're listening to, then what you can do is actually follow me there, whether it be on Amazon, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And with that said and done, I'd like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.